Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? Starting a little bit late today for those who are listening live, and for those who are listening to the archive, I guess it doesn't matter. My name is Lisa A. Snyder, and you're listening to Losing Your Parents International Radio. I'm broadcasting from Portland, Oregon. I lost both of my parents in my 20s to cancer. I was present for both of their transitions. I woke up next to my dad who had died, and when I was 27, I watched my mom take her last breath. After being present for their illnesses and witnessing their deaths, I had to face life as a young person without them, and I decided that it was important to me to connect with other people who have also lost their parents. I'm in my early 30s now, and my intention right now is to write, to talk about my journey through healing my grief and the things that continue to come up for me, which I know come up for a lot of other people around the world. I think that grief is a thread that we can all feel and something that we can all identify with. It's all different. Everyone's grief is different, but I'm here to share some things that have worked for me and some things that I've done to help myself move forward so I can have a happier life. If you want to get in touch at any point in time, you can contact me, losingyourparents.org/contact. You can also write me on Facebook, facebook.com/losingyourparents, or on Twitter @losingparents. I just want to let you know also that I have a sister site called griefpost.com. It's totally anonymous and free self-expression, so you can go there if you just want to share whatever's on your mind. There's no names, there's no email addresses in the form. You just send, and eventually I go through them and approve them to be seen. So, I'm starting a little bit late today, and reason being there's just like a lot of chaos happening all at the same time. I was supposed to start my show, and luckily I have the freedom of being able to choose when I have the show. I like to have it at 1 p.m. Pacific on Wednesdays. I think that this is important, and it's important to me to sort of have this place and this platform to share information and to connect with other people should they want to connect, and to share ideas and resources, etc. So, now I get to start taking a breath and move on from a little bit of chaos that I was just feeling. I'm going to be talking about holiday depression. This is going to be a part 2. Last week I talked about the holidays, missing your parents during Christmas and Hanukkah. Today is the second night of Hanukkah. So happy Hanukkah to those who are celebrating out there in the world. Last I left off, we were actually at a pretty significant topic, which is connecting and communicating with your parents after death. So this is for those of you who are interested and open to communicating with your parents if you'd like to. My belief is that we're all energy, and energy cannot be created nor destroyed, which actually isn't a belief, it's a scientific fact. So I feel like our energy goes somewhere, and I'm always curious to learn more about where do we go after we die. And I believe that after our physical body dies, that our spirit and our energy goes on to other things. There's a lot of books and resources out there about near-death experiences, people whose hearts have stopped completely, and they've had experiences on the other side and have come back to tell about it. One of those books that I love is called The Real Truth About Death. And, there's also psychics out there there's some fake psychics, but then there's some real ones. And I do believe that there are real ones. There's people who can communicate, who can get information. I think we're all a little psychic. If intuition is a little bit of a psychic piece of information. So if we're listening to our intuition, we're listening to information that our bodies and our minds and something else is giving us. And whether or not we want to listen to that or actually acknowledge that as the experience of intuition and that maybe a little bit of psychic ability, that's really up to each individual person. But I do believe that I get information, not like I now understand what you're thinking. It's not like that. But I'm trying to work on how I receive information, spend more time on, I'd like to spend more time on learning how to pull in and listen to information. Sometimes it's very clear to me, sometimes it's not clear, but I will tell you that I have had experiences communicating with my parents after they have died. I'll share with you some instances that have occurred. It's not like what we're used to, a physical sit-down conversation where you're looking someone in the eye and you're verbally communicating in your body language. It's not like that at all. If you think about radio waves, how you can't see them, but you can turn the radio on and you're going to get a station, kind of like that. And I've heard other psychic people tuning into a radio station. So if you know how to tune in and move the dial around to get information, you can have a open conversation. And when I say open, I mean open. Like, it's not dialogue, it's not back and forth, and it can be, but it's definitely very different than human experience using words, mouth, body language, etc. So you have to be super open. And if you're not, that's okay too. But I'm coming from a place of being super open, and I want you to know that. So we were talking last week about how to communicate with your parents, and one of the easiest ways to do that is through dreams. And you can, if you're super open to it, before bed, kind of close your eyes and say, Mom, Dad, I'd really love a visit from you. I'm very open to you visiting, however that is. Please try not to scare me, but I'm going to be really open. Please come visit me in my dreams. And there's a difference between dreams and visits, in my opinion. Dreams, and I'm using this word very openly. So again, this is all up into your interpretation. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do or how to do it. I'm just sharing with you information that has worked for me, and you can take it or leave it. So the dreams are things like your mind is processing. People have had dreams where, I don't know if you've had them, but I've had them where your teeth fall out and you're holding your teeth in your hand, and that's supposed to mean something. And there's dream dictionaries and there's all this stuff. When my parents died, even years after they died, I still had dreams where they were waking up in their coffin and talking to me, or waking up in a hospital bed, or they were fine and then they got super sick, and it was like my brain trying to process the fact that they were no longer here physically. And I think that's really hard for us to grasp in general, because we don't really talk about death a lot. And one of my intentions is to sort of open the doorway to talking about death in a way that's, not as scary, because I think that we can move forward a lot faster in our lives if we are truthful and honest about how we really feel and some of the experiences we have, and share them as human beings. So some dreams that I've had, dreams, not visits, but dreams that I've had have included some just bizarre, weird things my brain's trying to process. Whereas a visit it feels more normal, it feels more day-to-day, it feels more like a conversation. Sometimes you actually don't even say anything, but you can hear the other person's thoughts. That's a really cool thing. You might have experienced that with other people or other things in your dreams. But that, in my opinion, is a visit. It is a visit because it's not the brain processing what happened. It's a hello. It's a comfortable, positive exchange. Last week I talked about how I had once met my mom at the train station, which is very kind of sounds like out of a movie or something, but I had met my mom at a train station, and I was like, oh, my God, you look so good. I gave her a hug. It was nice to see her. I didn't feel sadness in my dreams, which I've noticed when I do have visits from my parents, and they're just checking in because I've asked them to, because they wanted to. I have not felt negative emotions during those dreams. The dreams that are disturbing where I have felt negative emotions, I think those are great. The visits don't feel like that. They feel very calm and peaceful and loving and open, and you're seeing your parents, in their best light. And so my parents always look younger in my dreams, in the dream visits, I should say. I should really start to differentiate those. In the dream visits, they look younger. In fact, I had a really cool dream last week where they both showed up, and that never happens. They're pretty separate. Like in my dream visits, they'll show up separately and we hang out separately. But they were in the same dream visit, and my dad looked super young, like I never knew him young, like before I was born young. He had this 70s, like longer hair and mustache and like sideburn thing going on from the 70s, and I was like, oh my God, my dad looks so nice. And I knew it was him, and I don't honestly remember what we talked about, but I definitely know he was there. And, another way besides dreams and visits like that are, if you're open to it, actually finding a reputable psychic who specializes in communicating with people on the other side. There's this one woman that I have used in the past. Her name is Anne. I forget her last name. But I might even have her on my resources page. I'm not sure. But she does over the phone and in person, and I've done both. I've seen her in person. She's out of Syracuse, New York, in the United States, and she gets clear messages from the other side. And I think everyone receives information differently, but she also does over the phone. And I've had it's not a direct communication, but it's as close as it's going to get, besides the dream visits and other ways that I've received information. So we've got dreams, we've got dream visits, we have, when I say reputable, I mean maybe somebody who you have heard does good work through a friend. Maybe there is a meditation center or a yoga center you can ask if they know anybody. Those are really probably the best ways of finding someone if you don't know somebody. I would be weary of the ones that charge $5.99 a minute and all that stuff, like the TV stuff. Like, I think maybe that they do their work, but one of the things that you want to be wary of when you are communicating with a psychic is that you don't have a vex or a curse on you. And if anybody tries to tell you that you do, you need to run the other way. That's not the right kind of person to communicate with. The people that you should be communicating, or if you want to communicate with, who are psychics, will just share information with you and get paid for their service, because that's what they do. That's their specialty in life, and everyone should get paid for their specialty. When I respect that, but if someone's trying to tell you that you need a $10,000 rose quartz stone to ward away the evil, then you need to, that's not the right person. And those are the people who are trying to take advantage, and they give psychic people a bad name. So, other ways you can communicate with your parents, sometimes you can simply just ask a question. Sometimes I say, Dad, give me a sign today, give me a sign that you are watching out for me, that you're here, that you hear me. And it isn't like a direct, hit. Sometimes it is. Sometimes I get some kind of weird thing. I'll get an email. Actually, in the past, this is so crazy, I had gotten blank emails from no one to no one. No subject, nothing inside. That actually started happening, I think it happened before my mom died, and after my dad died, but the most memorable experience that I had was my mom's on her deathbed. I'm sitting next to her on my iPhone and just trying to keep sane, and I get an email, and it's from no one to no one, and I felt like, oh my God, this is totally someone trying to communicate with me. When my dad died, I think I might have told the story in an earlier show, but I had gone back to the apartment that we shared, and after he died and after we had gone out for some food, and it smelled like his farts in the room, which is really funny. But I mean, there was no reason why it would smell like that, and it's kind of a funny little thing that we shared. I guess everybody farts, totally normal, but it was like a thing in our family, and I thought that was comical. And my dad was a very funny guy. There was also I had a PC at the time, and the caps lock and the num lock were either they're on or they're off on your computer, and they were blinking back and forth, and I was, God, this is crazy. And this was back in 2004, October 2004, and so I had a cell phone back then. It was a flip phone. It was one that you would a Verizon phone that you would use your thumbs to text, both thumbs, and it was long keyboard. I guess we still use both thumbs now, but I got a weird message. My screen totally froze. It wouldn't let me turn it off. And I feel like somewhere I have a picture of this. It's in my mind, and I feel like I have a picture of it because it was so bizarre. And it said a whole bunch of letters and numbers, but there's a significant message in there. It says, "You is home." I think it meant to say, "I am home." But that really gave me chills because I felt like all of these things were direct communication from my dad who had crossed over, and I feel like the easiest way to communicate with humans is by electricity because we're all energy, and so when you leave your body, you're still energy, and you bounce up to energy. So in the book, The Real Truth About Death, Atwater talks about the 3 times that she had died, and each time, one of the times specifically, she bounced up to the light source and she could see her body and she could see the people around her. And she went into the afterlife and as they were trying to revive her. And this happened 3 times. She went to the afterlife. And that's just not just one time. She went to the afterlife more than 1 time, 3 times. And then on top of it, she came back and she interviewed over 3,000 people who had also died. So if you're challenged or curious about the idea of life after death, this is a book that I've read several times, and it's short and sweet, but has really helped me to sort of grasp some idea and hope that there is life after death. The other books that I've read a ton of books that have helped me along the way. Another one I'm thinking of kind of has a funny title. It is written by a psychic. And it's called Do Dead People Watch You Shower? And it's this woman who's been a psychic for many years, and she's gotten a ton of questions along the way, and she just has a Q&A book called Do Dead People Watch You Shower? And it's just the answer to that question is actually they see you showering, but there's no judgment there. There's no you look this way or that way or whatever. There's no judgment. It just is. And that's another book I recommend if you're open to it, if you sort of have already decided, yeah, I know and understand and believe that there is life after death, that there are some questions answered in that book, Do Dead People Watch You Shower, that have helped me sort of been okay, these are fun little things that you wonder do over there, I actually wish it was kind of upstairs right now so I could read you a couple of things or put the show on pause and say, I'll be right back and go get the book. What else can I share with you about communicating experience? Here's an interesting thing I tried once. One time I tried writing my dad a letter, saying a note, not a letter, a note, but I missed it. I did it with my right hand, and then with my left hand, I kind of just let the pen do what it wanted to do. And all this stuff started coming out of I started writing, and it felt like it wasn't me. My hand was moving, but I was receiving information. I was just writing whatever I was receiving, and it sounded like my dad. And I was okay, fine. There's one way to look at this is I was hoping to talk to my dad, and then here's my dad's voice, and isn't that nice? And I'm forgetting that needs that. But this is the only time I'd done that a couple of times, but this is the only time I ever felt this feels different. There's something different about this. And I can't really put my finger on it. Definitely not like professional psychic or anything like that. But it was something I tried, and I was like, it was me saying, hey, I miss you, hope you're well. And then he was like writing back saying, I miss you too. He called me Punky, like growing up. And so, I don't know. That isn't as direct as or maybe it is. I don't know. You know, your guys' is mine. I'm just telling you, like, I'm trying stuff out and seeing what sticks and seeing what makes me feel good. Times in my life that are hard, I ask for my parents' guidance and I ask for their support and to point me in the right direction, to show me the way, to let me hear my intuition speak loudly so that I can know what the best path is. And sometimes that's as easy as you could get. Meditation is something that I'd love to put into daily practice, and it's hard sometimes. But it will actually really allow you to clear your mind enough to hear if you're getting information, especially your intuition, but if you're getting information from other places like a parent, a guidance, support. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but something happens and it feels like a coincidence, but it's so bizarre. You're like, how in the world could this possibly be a coincidence? Like, how could this be? And I think that there is someone guiding us to that point. And I think there's a lot of this life that we're on our path. We feel like we're off the path. It feels really uncomfortable. I think we're all, ultimately, everything's going to be okay. Ultimately, you're going to be okay. Ultimately, I'm going to be okay. And the goal here, the overarching goal during the holidays, during life, is to get to a place of peace inside. Happiness and joy flow. They're feelings just like anything else. You can't, like, get to happiness and then you kind of, like, sit down and cross your legs and, like, great, glad I'm here, you know. You can enjoy the happiness. You can enjoy the joy, but those things don't stick forever. Those things are just, they're feelings. So peace. Peace is something that you can feel over time and more often and extended. Like, I'm feeling a lot of peace right now just sharing information with you and talking to you, you know, as if you were sitting right here in front of me on my couch. Although we're not having a conversation, but hopefully we are having a different kind of conversation. Whatever I'm saying, you'll take with you through the holidays and through, you know, any other point in your life where you're feeling like, wow, I really need a resource right now. I really need something because I'm feeling so crappy. No, I actually currently am not feeling super crappy. I'm feeling like energy is really flowing, and for me, one of the recipes is being able to share thoughts and feelings freely and to be honest about things. Like, those are the three keys, like honesty and free-flowing thoughts and free-flowing feelings. And, you know, trying to get to a place like, I guess I've realized in the last, I've realized this particular lesson, but I got a reminder yesterday that I think we all want to be understood. We all want people to know how we feel, what we're thinking. All of those things, we want, the ultimate goal is to be understood. And there's something that feels complete about that. And yesterday, I was trying to explain to a friend how I felt and just wasn't coming across in the way that I wanted it to, and it was being completely misinterpreted. And I thought, you know what? I would love to be understood. I hope to be understood, but I have to release the outcome of being understood, because ultimately I don't think anyone can really truly understand everything that we are going through or what we're thinking or feeling. There are common threads that we can share, and we can be open to hearing one another and where the other person's at. But trying to be completely understood is a goal that I think we're all setting ourselves up for failure on some level, because it's just not going to happen in that way. And this is another one of those lessons of letting go of the outcome. And so, why am I sharing this with you? It's because it's up for me, and I think that it's another one of my lessons that I'm sort of relearning right now. And also, I think it pertains to everybody. And to remember that trying to be understood is normal and human, but the reality is not everyone's going to understand you. And so this actually comes into play, especially if you have stuff with your parents, like unresolved things, wanting your mom or dad to have finally understood you is just not going to happen that way. I'd like to think that my parents finally get me some level, because now they're like can see the whole big picture as opposed to just like what the tiny one was of the vision they had for my life. But I'll never know for sure. I can just sort of hope, and I can sort of think that they hear me and they know me and that they understand me as best they can from the other side. But I'm going to do my best to release people trying to understand me. I think that's a really hard lesson. I think that's one I'm going to have to remember again and again, because it really takes a lot of energy to put it out there and to want to be understood. I might want to talk a little bit more. I only have a couple minutes left here in the show, but I guess I'll close with telling you that as you go through the holidays, Hanukkah, Christmas, New Year's, these things, there's a lot of energy around it, and to try and disperse it, to try and do something with that energy, whatever that is for you that makes you feel better and lighter, whether it's talking to somebody, talking out loud, expressing yourself. I'm definitely a fan of that, because that works for me, and I think that works for a lot of people, is just energetically being able to get out whatever it is that's going on inside you, because stuck energy just feels so slow, and I just get super unhappy when I'm feeling stuck and slow and then I'm not growing at all. I don't know if you feel that way, but I do, and that's one of the things that I'm trying to do here, is just show you ways that you can get that energy flowing so that you can feel more peace and more joy in your life. If you have any questions or comments, or just want to say hello, I would love to hear from you. You can visit my website, losingyourparents.org/contact to get in touch. This show is available on Blog Talk Radio and also on iTunes and on YouTube. So I want to thank you for listening, and please, feel free to reach out. And one thing I want you to remember is you have to feel to heal. You do. Thanks for listening.